Mining is and always will be an important part to our region. Today we're going to draw miners. The question is, can you dig it? I'd like to welcome everybody to the art workshop. My name's Christopher Epling. We appreciate you tuning in today on PikeTV. Also appreciate everyone out there who's been drawing along with us and participating. That's what it's all about. If you do have anything that you've worked on, drawn, or created throughout the process of watching the show and checking out what we're doing here, we'd love to see your work. A good place where you could share that is on theholler.org. Log on to theholler.org and look for the art workshop. It's one of the hollers on the website. You have to register, but it's only, takes just a few seconds. Upload some of your images there, some of your artwork, or we can share it here on the show. So thank you all again, though, for tuning in. And as the opening suggested, we are talking today and drawing about miners. We appreciate all miners. We appreciate what the mining industry has done for our region. That's something that we'll always cherish and appreciate. So I thought that it'd be respectful in a good way that we draw a miner today, a cartoon miner. So you can follow along with me at home. What you're going to need is a piece of paper, a pencil, and an eraser. And if you want, you can bring in an ink pen to finish the project out at the end. So before we get started today, though, I do want to share a couple things with you I think you'll enjoy looking at. I sure did. These books are books that were released this past month. But the project that I'm talking about that I enjoy looking at is a project from Miss Kathy Wright's first grade class in Paintsville, Kentucky. And so we'll take a look at this book that her class created. I worked with the students to create this book. And how the project began was that they each had a story to tell. They had 5 pages to tell a story. And this is what they've created here. It's called Tiger Tales. And of course, Tiger is the mascot of Paintsville Elementary. So each student had a story. And here's a picture of the first grade class you could see there. Working with the students, they had a great time. Each one of them created their own story, like I said. Their artwork is in the book, and this is all collected into one story. So we have, for instance, here we have Jacob Cox. He did a self-portrait, pretty cool self-portrait, I think. And his story was titled Spaceman, and it's amazing what they've put together. So I'm really, really proud of the first graders at Paintsville Elementary working together to create this amazing book called Tiger Tales. If you're interested in getting a copy of this book, you can contact Kathy Wright at the Paintsville Elementary. We'll look at a couple more books here that I've brought in. These are actually books that I've worked on recently. One is called Rainbows in the Heart. This is produced by Burke Ministries out of Lexington, Kentucky, written by Dr. Glenn Burke. It talks about rainbows and their significance in the Bible. So this is one book. Another book that came out recently, and we're talking within the past month or two, Dance of the Fireflies. I illustrated this for Mary Powell Wagner. She's a Kentucky author. Her second book, her first book was Simon Salamander. And the last book that I've worked on recently, literally came out this month, is The Pirate Ship Bed Trip. This was written by Nancy Quackenbush, and she's from Florida. This is produced by Hidden Wolf Books in St. Augustine, Florida. So these are the titles that I've worked on recently. I am an illustrator. That's my main job. I work professionally as an illustrator. So this is just an opportunity for me to share what's come out. So now we're going to be drawing together as promised, and our focus is mining. And we're going to be breaking this down into 3 parts, really. The first part is actually sketching it out. We're going to be sketching out the entire piece. We use a method called the Marvel method, which we use circles first as a frame, and then we draw on top of that, just like working with clay or working with a blueprint, okay? Then after we sketch this out, we're going to ink it. So you ink your lines you want to keep, and after that ink dries, you erase everything. And that's the process. That's the entire process of creating our cartoons, all right? So get your pencil ready, get your paper ready, and let's jump into it. We're going to draw a cartoon miner today. Now, you'll see here that I have a few tools, and I have a lot of people ask me what tools you use, so I'm going to just talk about this for a brief second. This is a mechanical pencil. Everybody knows what a mechanical pencil is. But instead of graphite, well, this holds blue lead, okay? And the significance of blue is that whenever you photocopy this image on a copying machine, the blue will not transfer. So it disappears, it's gone. So instead of having to erase all those lines later, you won't have to worry about it after you ink the drawing, okay? I'm also going to be using a number 0.7 millimeter pencil, mechanical pencil with graphite in it to trace over top of the blue lines. And then I'm going to be using a good old marker. This is a small size Faber-Castell marker, but you don't need, if you got a pen at home, that works. You don't need anything like a name brand stuff or anything. Now, if you're interested in getting any of these supplies and you want to purchase something that, if you're interested in drawing, go to your local hobby store, support your stores here locally. Go out and they carry all these in different sizes, different colors and everything. So be sure and go out and purchase you a pencil. They're not that expensive even, so it's really affordable, and it's something good to invest in if you love to draw. All right, so we're drawing a miner today. Now, I hope you have your piece of paper ready. What we're going to do is, first thing we're going to do is draw a large oval, okay? So we're going to start here, and we're going to draw this large oval right in the middle of our paper. Yours doesn't have to be perfect. Don't worry about it if it's not. Mine's not perfect. It's never perfect. Just get it as close as you can to this shape, okay? This shape's going to help guide us because it's going to be the body of the miner. So I'll darken it in a little bit more so you can see it. All right? So there's our first shape. The second shape we're going to do is going to be up here at the top. You're going to put a circle right here at the top. Okay? Doesn't have to be a perfect circle. Come as close as you can. So we have an oval and a circle. The next thing we're going to do is put another oval here at the bottom, right here. So we have an oval here, right? And we have an oval here. We have two ovals. So as you can see now, we have three ovals and a circle, and we're going to turn this into a miner, believe it or not. A lot of cartoonists in the industry, what they'll do is they'll sketch this out like this in these shapes, and what this does, it gives us a framework to build on, right? So all these lines and shapes, they represent elements of our drawing. And once we draw this, you'll see how it all comes together. All right, so we're going to begin up here at the top where the circle is, and what we're going to do is over here on the edge, we're going to draw, guess what, another oval right here, okay? Right there. The second thing we're going to do is we're going to draw another oval, but watch how I do this one. This one is actually long ways, see? It's on its side. This one's standing up, this one's on its side, okay? From there, what we're going to do is come over here to the back of your circle, and we're going to put a backwards letter C. Okay? Now if you place all these elements where I'm placing them on your paper, you'll see how it all comes together in a little bit. Right here at the top, right here where his eye is, we're going to put a line going straight up, just like that. Okay? Then we're going to seal it off, just like this. Okay? Now this will be the character's nose. We're going to draw the nose now. So up here at the top, you're going to draw this line coming out. We'll give him a big nose, just like this. Okay? All right. So now we have two eyes, an ear, and a nose. So we're going to follow our line going down our oval now. We're just going to follow that line. And I'm darkening in. You press down lightly at the beginning, and then you press down harder as you start to add these things on top of your shape. And that's what this is. It's just a shape. Draw a line coming down this way. You notice that I didn't follow this directly. That's because I want these two lines to be sort of parallel together, run the same way, go in the same direction. Let's go back up here at the ear for a second. Let's add a little detail inside the ear, just like that. Okay. Now let's work on his mining cap. He's got his light at the top of his hat. We're going to draw this little shape coming out, back in, just like this. It's the top of the front of his hat. And we're going to put the light on there. Okay. Draw yourself an oval. You can put a little detail in it after you do that. And then his hat's going to go up and down. Right. Put a couple lines in there. There we go. We got a mining cap. Okay. Now we're going to put his eyeballs inside of his eyes. So let's draw his eyelids first. Put one here. Now this is a cartoon version. Cartoons are meant to be funny. They're exaggeration of features that people have, animals have, things like that. So that's why we're doing this guy a little funny. You got to have fun while you're drawing cartoons, or otherwise cartoons aren't cartoons anymore. There's his eyeballs. Okay. All right. So we're going to now move down to the lower part of his body. Now this is where things can get a little tricky, so you got to pay really close attention, okay? It's really important. His hand is going to come up like this and down. So what we're going to do is draw first is a line showing us where is his arm going to be. His arm is going to come down like this, okay, from his body. His elbow comes up like this. So this is his elbow right here. This is the part of his arm here, okay? And we're going to stop right there. Then what we're going to do is we're going to draw another line coming down this way, just like that. Put a couple little folds in there, and then draw the line coming up. So see, these lines run together, right? They're parallel. Up here at the top, we're going to put his sleeve on him. So just draw a little shape like this on each side of your line, and then draw a letter C sort of right there. Now we're going to work on the hand, so keep going with your lines. This is his hand coming out. And from here, what we're going to do, we're going to draw his fingers. Now, fingers, students have a really hard time with fingers, so just watch and pay attention, you'll be able to get this. First thing we're going to do is draw a straight line going up. See, from this. There's one line there. Then you're going to draw a line coming out, like that. And then you're going to draw a shape coming over like this. So there's the first finger. Once we have the first finger, we're set. We can draw the rest of them the same shape and placement. Okay? Now we're going to give him a pickaxe over his shoulder. So you're going to draw a straight line. Use a ruler if you need to. My lines aren't going to be perfect on here, but you can still see how we're doing this. So, all right, there we go. We got the two lines for the pickaxe. Let's draw the base there, and now we'll work on the pickaxe at the top. How we're going to do this is we're going to draw two parallel lines again. See, all these are just shapes. They're just shapes, and how you arrange these shapes together forms whatever it is that you're wanting to form, okay? Sometimes whenever students look at a character that they like on TV or in books or comics or graphic novels or animated movies, whatever it is, they say, I can't draw that. That's too complicated. If you break something down into simple elements, you can do anything with drawing, okay? So the sleeve comes up. Now let's put on his uniform. You're going to draw a line going up to the back of this line. Then you're going to bring it out to about right here, and you're going to stop. So see how that line runs underneath his arm? Okay? This line here is going to form his uniform. So we're going to come back up here at the top. We're going to add the fold. So it's going to come down like this, just like that, and look like almost like a triangle, right? We're going to do another triangle here, but we're not going to put the base on it. We're going to go down and then back up. So it looks like a triangle, half a triangle anyway. And then over here we have to add his other collar. So how we're going to do that is just bring a line out, down, and back in. Okay? It's that simple. So we're going to make this an old-fashioned miner. So instead of the reflected light we have, we're going to have him in some work overalls. So in order to do that, we need to draw a couple lines coming down and up over top of his arm. Right? Another one coming up. Follow this line. Uh-oh, broke my pencil. All right, there we go. That happens sometimes. All right, so this line that comes down now is going to go across, right, like this, and it's going to go back up. You've got to draw the other side of his work overalls here, and we're going to do two buttons, a button here and a button here, right? Once we have those two buttons, then we can, we'll add detailing a little bit later, but we're going to come on down towards the feet. Now you notice these two ovals here are his feet. Now if I follow these ovals, I'll be able to shape his feet up, and we'll have a good shape going on. So bring this line down around his back here. There's his overalls, right? These two ovals represent his feet. They help guide us as where to place his feet. So with this first one, what we're going to do, we'll put a belt on him here. This belt wraps around his back here. For this first one, we're just going to draw a straight line coming down. Follow your oval, right? Follow your oval. And then there's one pant leg. And we're going to follow this oval back, just like it looks. And come up, do the second back leg. Pant leg. Okay? Now we can add his feet. For his feet, what we're going to do, we're going to do two lines coming down, two lines coming down on each side. One here, two here and two here. From there, then, we're going to draw his feet. There's one, and there's two. Okay? Now, we're going to have him holding his lunch pail, and so we're going to have to bring another arm in here. He only has one arm so far. Let's bring this line down, two lines coming out from his body here, right? We're going to add another shape like this little shape here, which represented his sleeve. We're going to do that here. So two lines like that, a line. Now we're going to draw another hand, okay? For this hand, you're going to draw a letter C here, letter C. Then you're gonna round off that edge just like that. Okay. Now we're going to draw what I tell the students, baby carrots. And that's the best way to really describe what we're doing with fingers. They look like 3 little baby carrots hanging out there. Now we can draw the lunch pail. Take 2 lines coming out from his hand, hanging down, just like that. We're going to round this off. It's an oval. And then put a little detail to it. 2 lines coming down like this, and seal it off. He's got his lunch pail. To really bring out some detail, you can put some hair coming down from his hat and give him a smile. And now we have a minor. Now, seeing this in blue is one thing. You see all these shapes, right? You see the circle, you see these ovals, so you can't really tell a lot of detail in it. So now I'm grabbing another pencil here, okay? And this is a graphite pencil. You'll be able to tell the difference in how this looks on the screen. The blue lines are hard to see, but once we start sketching over our own lines, we're tracing our own work. Here's what we're doing. You can really start to see the detail to pop out from our drawing. Okay. Now you at home, what you can do is start out with the pencil. You can do this over again even later after the show's over, and barely sketch, barely put down these lines, all these shapes, ovals, circles, barely press down on your pencil, and you can trace over them. And that's the key. A lot of times when you see a cartoonist work, you'll think, well, how in the world did they sit down and draw something like that that looks like, you know, they didn't make any mistakes or hardly any mistakes, and they did it with a pen. Well, the trick is they usually, I'll say, they didn't just sit down and draw it with the pen. More than likely, they've traced something out, just like we've done here, and then they've erased all those pencil lines so you don't see them. Hardly any artist can start out with a pen and just draw. I mean, there's certain artists who can. If you draw a character enough, of course, you'll be able to know what they look like, and you really don't have to trace it. So I'm going to ink this here in a second, and when I ink it, you're going to notice that we're going to be speeding up the film, and you're going to be, well, I shouldn't say film, we're digital now, but we're going to be speeding up the process. So you're going to be watching me ink this whole drawing, and it's going to go really fast. But you can get the idea of how this works, though, just by us tracing over these lines with our pencil, making it more visible for you to see. And be sure, if you can, send us some of your artwork so we can see what it looks like. We'd love to share it here on the art workshop. We have opportunity now to ink this. We're going to move forward with that, I think, and show you what this will look like inked. Before we do that, though, we can add some background to our drawing. I mean, we have a minor here. He's walking, but where's he going, right? So I think it'd be appropriate, before we ink it, to go ahead and add a few details into our setting. Now, the setting, when we talk about setting, what we're talking about is the background. Where is the character at in the image? Okay. So to add a setting in here, we could either put him inside a mine. We could put him walking to home. Maybe he's finished a hard day's work, and he's heading home. Miners in the early days had a really hard time. If you study anything about our history here and the conditions that were in those mines, and we're talking back in the mule and buggy days. My father tells me a story of his father, and he would load coal by hand. Often, you know, so many hours a day, it would be unbelievable today. But he would load these carts, you know, shovel by shovel, and so it's amazing, really, how far we've come as a region and as a society in mining, and how mining is how coal is extracted. So, you know, I think it's appropriate that we remember these things. It's a part of our culture and always will be, no matter what happens with the industry. I believe it will always be a part of our culture. So I hope you've enjoyed drawing the setting with me and the character. I've got him going home after a hard day's work, and I'm going to draw some mountains in the background. This gives a little bit of distance, so perspective. These mountains appear to be far, far away. If you really wanted to add some more detail to it, you could put a few more mountains back here in the background. So it looks like you're looking over top of the horizon of the mountains, and you can see them off into the distance, right? And you can add some shading into this to make it even look more relative to the other mountains there. I mean, you've got one mountain behind another, so we want to make it so that it appears that way. And by shading, you can do that. I've seen students also, once they shade, they'll take their finger, a lot of students do this, and they'll rub it like this, okay? That's something that I even did in school back in the day. So that's appropriate. Now, we can add a tree here if we want. We got a couple more minutes left, so we can keep going. We got some grass here. He's walking up this path. There's a few rocks in his way, and put a little bit of shadow underneath him. Let's have the sun back here. So here's the sun up in the sky, shining. I'll move it over so you can see. There we go. So there's the sun. So based on this, we can tell that the lighting is going to be coming from this direction. So his shadow is going to be in front of him, right? So let's go ahead and do that real fast. We'll put a little bit of a shadow here in front of him walking. This foot, of course, too. Now, if we do that, then we also have to put a little bit of shading into the character here because the light is coming from behind him. So let's put a little bit of shading. He even might have some coal dust on him too, right? Because he's been working by hand, and so there's a good chance he's going to be dirty. So we'll put a little bit of coal dust on him here. His uniform is also going to be darkened in from the light here. So what we have is a drawing that is comprised of about 3 different elements. We have the character, we have the setting, and we have lighting, all in this one drawing, okay? We can put a tree in the background. And how we do a tree is you want to bring it up, and then you start to branch out, literally, no pun intended. Keep going, just like that, and keep going up with your tree. And then the same thing on the other side, go up to a different limb on this side, maybe, like that. Now once we have the lines making up the tree, you can put a few details in here for the bark. Of course, the lighting's coming this way, so that means all the shading is going to be on this side of the tree, like that. Now we're going to add some few different leaves up here, what we call a canopy. I learned that in the military. Canopy is all of the foliage that makes a tree a tree. So if you look up and you see a tree, and like a magnolia tree, and you have all those pretty blooms and tons of leaves, when you walk underneath it and you look up, notice there's shading. That's your canopy closure. So this is a canopy, right? Because of this lighting, though, some of these leaves are going to be dark, others are going to be light. So we can add some shading inside of these leaves, just a little bit. Notice what I'm doing. I'm just going over it really quickly here. You don't have to be precise. We're not looking for anything perfect lines and all of this. We're just having fun, okay? Drawing should be fun. You shouldn't worry about all this stuff, preciseness and straight lines and things. Okay. Of course, you can. I mean, that's something that is an important part of art. A lot of artists are appreciated because of their technical skills and how well they can, do straight lines and everything. It looks almost like it was machine made. Even some of these artists that do comics, it looks so perfect. But then you go and look at Charles Schulz, who did Peanuts, and you can see that his sketching, he's more of what we call a loose hand when it comes to art. So he doesn't really worry too much about making something perfect. Okay. So here's our minor, and here's our setting, and here's our lighting. What we're going to do is we'll ink this, and what we'll do is put some more detail in it as we do that, and you'll be able to follow along with me, at home there. This is a large sheet of paper. It's 17 inches wide. So if you have a smaller sheet, you're going to have to squeeze all this detail in that way. Notice I'm not drawing every single blade of grass either. I'm just putting a few blades of grass here and there, okay? And that gives the effect, actually, that there's a lot of grass here, but you don't have to draw every single blade of grass. The details that you add is up to you. But I'd love to see your work. I'd love to see what you created. That would make me really happy to see some viewers' artwork. And remember now, to do that, you log on to theholler.org, okay? And then you search for the art Holler, the Art Workshop Holler, It's on there. It's easy to find. And then you upload. You upload your document. If you know how to send an attachment in an email, then you can handle creating or sending your image, okay? It's that easy. So we'll add a little bit more shading in here before we start to ink. Mining is important, and I thought that today, and we all thought, PikeTV, the Holler, thought that it'd be appropriate for us to respect and show respect to miners by talking about mining and drawing about mining, okay? And we'll add a little bit more detail. I think I'm starting to sound like Bob Ross a little bit. Put a happy tree here, happy tree there. Those of you who remember Bob Ross, I remember watching him as a kid and just mesmerized. And believe it or not, you can search for those episodes and watch them still today. They're still really cool. He dealt more with painting, not cartooning, but drawing is drawing no matter, right? A lot of comic art's not taken too seriously, but I think comics are important. And a lot of cartoonists today are talking about important stuff. You know, they're not just drawing goofy cartoons. They're talking about things like the Holocaust. They're talking about things like bullying in schools. They're talking about things like preventive suicide and all these things that really matter and are important in our society. So comics are changing, and how comics are used are changing. It's something that I stress to the students when I go out to the schools. You can use comics to tell a story, convey a thought, or share an idea. That means anything, right? So I hope you've enjoyed this process today. I hope that you've had a good time, and I'd love to see your work. So be sure, if you have created this drawing today and you want to share it, be sure and share it. I'd like to thank PikeTV, and I'd like to thank theholler.org for bringing this episode and all these episodes to you. The Art Workshop would not be here at all if it weren't for PikeTV and the Holler. So we really, really appreciate what they do for our community and our county, okay? And I want you at home to remember that no matter what skill level you feel you have, I've been doing this a long time, so I can sketch this out. And it's not perfect, but it may be, you draw and you look at it and say, hey, mine doesn't look like his exactly. Well, it's because I've had 20 years of practice, right? And I'm still practicing. I'm still learning all the time. I remember a point in my own life where I looked at other people's work and I got discouraged and said, hey, I can't do that. And I still do that. I still look at other people's work and I'm like, there's no way I can do that. But I can draw some, and I can, create some stuff, and I want to share that, and I want you to know that you can too, okay? Now, if you're going to follow along with the speed part of this with inking, you can. Grab a pen, a marker. Make sure your marker doesn't have a really thick tip on it, though. If you do, you're not going to be able to do the fine detail in here. So grab something that has a thin tip on it. Even an ink pen, that'll work. And you can follow along with me here and just ink it. And I want to thank you all again for watching. And let's go ahead and ink it now and work together on finishing up our project, okay? I hope you all have a great day, and thanks so much for tuning in.